So far, no errors. I don't remember what the message was. I just kept hitting OK there.
Yeah, I know, but it seemed like you shouldn't get one on this unless you were.
I don't know if it was picking up the camera.
Maybe. You weren't logged into our Wi-Fi. So I have a meeting at 8:15 down the hall around the corner. So you guys will
Do you
be
want
on
us to
your
get
own.
this done in 15 minutes?
You guys can just start. I'm gonna go to my other meeting. I'll be done and you guys will be done.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it says Wi-Fi space is discovered in 9. So Jane open.
Beacon, yes. Okay.
So why are you connected to that?
I don't know.
I found a piece of paper on there, but that's not the thing.
Real, isn't it?
Period.
You need your supplies, girl. I know, I left them in the house and I took the elevator down.
Yeah, so you should stop
You on your elevator.
Is there a beacon right here?
across the street.
Across the street.
Probably because I'm connected with the Granger one.
Oh,
And
so they would keep the same if you were logged in at
And
1?
probably their guest one would be the same.
Yep.
That's- Ron, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm got my staff meeting at 8:15.
Yes, I understand. You're all set up to record?
Yep, it's recording now,
Oh, very good.
so you are part of the record.
How soon will Linda wants to be able to, I didn't bring, she wanted to bring her little recorder and I left her on the counter
Oh, I can have it uploaded and ready
sometime today.
within an hour of the meeting. Should be able to.
Okay, very good, very good. I'll pass this around. Just put a check by your name.
And I changed the format so the video is a little bit, it's more compact. It's just got one big screen and then a couple smaller screens, so it'll be easier to follow. It's not moving around.
Chris and Rob, how are you today?
Doing well.
Good.
For
Have a good
early-
weekend.
Early Monday morning.
Did you enjoy all that stuff
No.
and the snort and all the other stuff?
No.
Leaves are gonna be hard to get up now.
I like the first 15 minutes of it and then that was done.
Yeah, snow globe effect and then go away.
Welcome all.
Thank you, welcome to you. Did you bring donuts and coffee and cream?
No, I didn't.
There you go, there you go.
Who'd have thought? Needed donuts.
Well, I'll let the cat out of the bag. In January 10th, when we have our last meeting, there will be decaf,
Oh my
day of
God.
coffee, and there will be something there, donuts or something.
That
And
is
it'll be really good.
excellent.
It won't just be something off the shelf in the store, okay?
Oh, thank you.
I figured everyone that's willing to make the time for this, I'll have some reward.
You're
Did everybody have a chance to access the minutes and the video from last meeting 2 weeks ago? I only heard.
Yes,
a minor
I
complaint.
apologize, yes, I did.
I only heard a minor complaint that the video was a little weird, and so Mike's got to work some bugs out, so it should be easier. Like, I just listened to it, wasn't necessarily need to see the video. Okay. Who's there? Very good. Is everybody checking?
No,
I'm back there.
Not back.
I'm getting back.
Okay.
All right, we'll bring the meeting to order. It's 8 o'clock. So Chris and Rob are here. They've got a couple weeks with the information that they got from the first meeting. So let's let them do a presentation here and then we'll do a Q&A. Okay, very good.
We're gonna do morning exercises first, like some calisthenics,
Well, let's
jumping jacks.
everybody
There you go.
stand up. Let's.
Chicken fat.
Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Now let's all go
Well,
down.
you're the only one doing it, so.
All go down and touch the floor.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for showing up. Early morning Monday again. Last time we met was 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
So as Bob's passing around those, what we wanted to, well, wait. So appreciate everybody's comments from last meeting. What you'll see today is that we have two concepts that we put together over the last 2 weeks. Just to kind of incorporate some of the ideas. We'll get to the roundabout discussion, we'll get to option B. But just wanted to show you what we were thinking and just kind of get everybody's feedback on it. So it should be fairly quick, or we'll stay within the hour. But it's just kind of one of those things that we just wanted to show you two concepts, and then the plan is in, I believe, 4 weeks. We will consolidate the ideas that we get from today into a preliminary master plan. We'll have a lot more details, some images, like what kind of furnishings we might be thinking of, pavement patterns, trees, stuff like that. But we wanted to show you two concepts. One is with all of it's a road diet, as we talked about last week. Roadways are pretty wide. Some people use this 4-lane, even though it's designated as 2 lanes. And you'll see on this, in both of these, that we did a road diet, reduced the lane widths, and looked at potential options for center turn lane or median. So with that, I just thought I'd turn it over to Bob, and he can go over each of these designs. And then we don't know for any questions or comments.
As Chris said, we looked at doing the road diet, and that included taking the lanes from, some of those 13, 14-foot lanes or even wider that seem to be like 2 lanes wide where cars are zooming around each other. And we, if you look at the cross section in the upper right-hand corner, we've got basically on concept A, 2 drive lanes and a center turn lane for left-hand turns. And that is reflected on the plan view going through the street from Division Street all the way to the new, what would be Bristol, the bypass road, or 15 runs north. So for that 4-block section, we're doing the road diet. We would extend the curb in then and create angled parking, widening the pedestrian pathway on either side from, I think it's about 8 to 10 feet right now. It would add 5 to 6 feet on the pedestrian sidewalk to allow for benches, seating areas for restaurant seating, stuff like that on the sidewalk. Almost make it like that plaza space that we had spoken about last couple weeks ago. With that angled parking to help slow that down, we've also added some planter beds. These would, help slow traffic by giving a visual barrier, not having pavement or parked cars, and protect the cars as well. So these planter islands open up into all the existing. We looked at all of the drive aprons on either side, on the north and south, and I believe we've hit all of those and still accommodated traffic in and out, as well as added a total of about 68 spaces. Now this could go up or down a few spaces depending on how the layout changes or whatever, but this was, as we said, just first conceptual look at it. We've got angled spaces from Division Street to Charles on the south side. And we've got some more, and then it goes angled all the way down till in front of the town hall here. And then we've got parallel spaces in front of the 2 residences right next door. And that goes, and then out in front on Pearl Street and all the way down to the Bristol business route, there'd be no parking, but turn lanes. That matches into the NDOT road work that is currently there or will be there. It's not all completed yet, but I believe it's mostly completed at that intersection. So, and then on the north side, we've got parking spaces from just down here in front of beacon over across here. The sidewalk again would be widened, more angled parking down here in front of the tool shed in the Opera House. And continuing down till you get back to Division Street where it would open up, where you have a left-hand lane, a straight lane, and a right lane. And what you can't see from this is that actually those radiuses on the street have come in about 10 to 12 feet on the north and south side, so that there's not as much asphalt at that intersection. And that's part of that road dye, is bringing that curb line in. It's still the same radius, so that trucks could make that turn, but it is a lot less asphalt, and it gives more area for the park and the pedestrians along the street.
I have a question.
Yes.
I got called after last meeting. You got 2 residences on this street, on our street here. And over here, it's taken care of with everything right here. You know, your parking lot, your exit.
Yep.
But you'll clear down by the old Speedway, the Rebel, at that end. And that's, they have, they have a very hard time, that residence, getting in and out. And so I'd like you to take that into consideration. They have a hard time getting in and out right now, that one residence.
Well, the traffic would be diminished because the state route is gone.
Okay,
And we have observed their driveways and entrances, so they would have entrance into their residences.
I have a question on the same thing. You have a phone call between the town's parking lot and a tree. We can hardly get out far enough to see how to get out from now as this. So is that what that is, a bump out right at the end of the park?
Which one? Are you, Chris, is it to the left?
It's just
Where the
up
parking lot is
right
I.
Right across the street from the bank.
Did that, the-
we're seeing on the cars, yeah.
That's the beacon is I, that's I.
there's the town
perceive.
parking lot is just to the
Yeah.
left of
Where all
the
the
cars
cars
are.
Other cars.
There you
Yeah,
go.
is that a bump out right in front of it?
Yes.
Okay. It's about impossible to get out now.
Well, again, with the road dye and State Road 15 coming out, traffic will be a lot calmer than what it is now.
Okay, have you ever seen the traffic between 2:30 and 4:30 when everybody gets out of work?
No.
Oh, you haven't?
Okay.
Don't sit in my
Well,
office.
this is still conceptual. We're taking all that into account. So this is still, these are the things we want to hear to understand everything that's going on. And when we get into final design, we'll look at a lot more of that in detail.
Yeah, one of the things we'll need to find out, and this kind of goes back to that question, is what is the anticipated reduction in annual daily trips? Going east-west, going from Elkhart to, eastbound, and even coming off of State Road 15, because right now State Road 15 comes south, goes east, no, it goes southwest and then south. And to cut that traffic down when that bypass goes in, I think you're gonna see a significant reduction in the amount of cars and trucks that travel on that section of road.
Well, we live in an industrial town.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that just drive to work.
Yep.
And I tell you, the people that stop to let you out are usually the semis,
Mhm.
not the cars.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm noticing to the left of that parking lot,
Uh-huh.
you got 2 parking spots in front of 4 businesses. The tavern, the liquor store, the barber shop, and yeah, that's not gonna work. And a lot of times the town parking lot is full where our customers can't park in front of the business anyway. So just a heads up on that.
Even yesterday, we had the Opera House open up for the first time in quite a while here. And I came down through here while the play was on, and there was no available parking.
Right.
I mean, like I said, we can't afford to give up any spaces whatsoever.
Right.
I mean, even the bank parking lot, there was probably 15 cars utilizing the bank parking lot, because like I said, there's nowhere else to park in town.
We have people parking in the little three car area that we have,
Mhm.
and then walk it as long as, down to the Opry House.
Right.
So, and that's not public parking.
So one of the things that what we one of the things that we need to emphasize is, that, you know, when you have the road reduction, it becomes more of a pedestrian oriented streetscape. Is figuring out ways to bring in pedestrian crossings in a safe manner, across from south to north. Right now, you don't have that. You're playing frog going across the street. Or you have to go to the lighted intersections and make those crossings if you want to have a safe crossing. So what we wanted to do is look at each of the 4 intersections to figure out where is the best place to put a crosswalk in. Now, when you do bump outs, when you bring that down, it slows traffic down. Unfortunately, when you really kind of emphasize those crosswalks, you have the potential of reducing some angle parking in front of that you don't have right now. Right now, it's angle parking all the way across, and people go across the street, and you have to go in between the cars, and so on and so forth. So I completely sympathize about the amount of parking, and we'll definitely consider that as we kind of refine this. But just going in the Division Street, obviously that's a 4-way intersection. We can get the crosswalks in there. Going to Charles Street, because we have the entrances into the public parking lot and by that business, we can't get a crosswalk on the east side of that. What we'd like to have is a 4, crosswalks on both sides in order to really emphasize that intersection.
On the next intersection.
So we have one right there on the west side. Then going to Apollo, we are able to make that 4-way kind of intersection. Now, there's one possibility of even bringing a 4-way stop. And that's something that would be considered as you kind of trying to slow people down, get this more pedestrian oriented. So you're not gunning it from one side of the downtown to the other side. That may force those cars to stop.
Another option would be to put a raised intersection. Like it'd be a 6-inch curve with ramps on each side. Kind of like a speed bump for the whole intersection. So that would slow traffic down also. But it could be a 4-way stop or a raised intersection that would help to another traffic deterrent, like the road diet, to help slow traffic down.
We'd like to also look at Pearl Street, but because all the turn lanes and stuff, we may see if we can get some crosswalk in there, but we do have the entrance into the residence right there, into this garage, that's right at that intersection. So we could, there's a possibility of putting a crosswalk there, but then you'd be having a driveway entrance right in the middle of that intersection. And then off to the east, we already have the pedestrian crossings, and that might be one of the things that we could have a discussion with state, and as well as to see if we can change those crosswalks to match potential, like change of concrete pavement, brick pavers, things like that for the crosswalk to really kind of look at the downtown.
And that's what I've highlighted with the A at each end. It's kind of like an entrance node into your downtown. So how do we dress that up or make that central area like we were talking about for the roundabout? We could do it at both ends. That could be like a gateway into the downtown. So, and that's just kind of, but how do we do that? Is with crosswalks? Is it with signage? Is it with art nodes? Is it with plantings? But there's a lot of different ways that we can signify that this is the downtown streetscape for these four blocks. And it's kind of at both ends. You could have an entrance node or a gateway into the downtown.
With this angle parking, did we increase the amount of spaces?
I don't recall what the existing spaces is, but I got to imagine it's pretty close because it's angled, and we didn't really shift anything or block anything that isn't there. So it may be a few spaces less, but overall it's going to be pretty close to the same amount of spaces.
I know we added some on the west side.
Yeah.
By the park.
I think there were a couple we added in some areas. There might have been 1 or 2 we took away in others. So the overall parking downtown is going to be pretty similar to what it is currently. More or less, we're just defining those parking spaces with the islands and the planter islands and the trees to help, again, that traffic calming and the road diet, to get rid of a lot of the asphalt and the openness of that and create a more pedestrian friendly downtown.
Yeah.
This is, on Pearl?
Hmm?
Are you sure that's Pearl, or am I wrong?
That's actually Washington
That's
Street.
Washington,
Is it?
because I used to live on
We're changing street names.
it.
Sorry about that.
I like Pearl.
So you have to fit another block there somewhere.
We need to kind of move that one over.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
oh, no problem.
But yeah, I mean, looking at visibility when you're coming out of parking lot is going to be key regarding any design that we do. making sure that we do somewhat of a road diet, if that's what everybody's interested in, so you're not getting the back of your cars hit by, or mirrors or things like that, getting hit by cars. The perception that things are narrower, drive lanes will slow people down. And then pedestrian crossings at intersection were appropriate.
Chris,
Now, yeah.
I have a question.
Mhm.
On the angle parking, I'm looking at your legend here, you're showing it's an 18-foot parking slot.
Yes.
Now, if it's diagonal, is it a little longer than 18 foot?
Yes,
Okay.
that 18 feet accounts for the angle of it, and it's usually a 20-foot spot on that 18 feet. It's only from 18 feet from the back of the spot to the curb line. So it is a true 20-foot parking spot. But
Yeah, because you will always have your overhang.
Yep.
That goes over the curb.
Yeah, okay. Because I have a Toyota truck that's actually longer than my 3/4 ton.
I think if I remember correctly, on the 60-degree or 30-degree, I think it's 17.8 feet is the allotted for the 20-foot space. But again, we've got 100 feet of right of way that we're playing with here. So if that needs to actually go to 20 feet, we can take a foot or so off some of the sidewalks. I mean, we can play with that a little bit. This is just conceptual to get in there. But yes, that is for a 20-foot spot.
So then the other thing we're envisioning for that 15.5-foot sidewalk area is in some of the residents that are there, we'll probably have a tree lawn with the sidewalk. And then we have businesses probably go from the face of the building to the curb with sidewalk and tree breaks and streetlights. So you do have the option to have outdoor seating or outdoor gathering spaces, or you could set up temporary tables out that spot.
They have to change the ordinance then, because the ordinance said they can't have outside seating unless they have an awning. Because that's what, that Be Well Bristol told me, they said they can't put tables and stuff outside because the ordinance. city
Well, and this
ordinance
is
says
how do we reimagine downtown too, without it being the main traffic corridor anymore. We want it to become more pedestrian friendly and user friendly. So that could be obviously brought to discussion.
Be mindful ordinances can be amended.
So
Yeah,
That
it's-
takes the public coming to town hall meetings,
Right.
expressing your concerns. And we're gonna put the effort into this, so if it means, let's look at that ordinance, and can we amend that?
Right.
To allow businesses to have sidewalks.
What's interesting right now is we're working with the city of South Bend for a lot of all their downtown areas with the businesses that want to have eating areas outside. Something I never really thought about, but it's you have to look through what other precedents there are in other communities to see what is actual legal for businesses to do. Like if you put a temporary fence out there, can you serve alcohol? What can you do in that? So they're even thinking about or trying to figure out how to update and amend their permits and ordinances.
I want to touch base again on that parking in front of the Red Bird and liquor store and barber shop.
Yeah.
Most of my customers are, 70, 80, 90 years old, and they already, struggle for just the distance from, 15, 20 feet. So I'm trying to keep that in mind, I guess.
So is this basically for beautification and geared towards pedestrians? The whole thing?
That is
Because
our,
I really don't see pedestrians. Well, I mean, they get out of their car and they go to their business.
right.
For as far as just walking up and down the street, maybe that'll bring it, I don't know, but I just didn't know if that was the main goal, just for pedestrians.
I think a lot of it is to encourage, a lot of the things that we're seeing for these type of streetscapes is that if you make it more pedestrian oriented, your businesses with their economic development, businesses tend to kind of want to be in the downtown areas. But instead of I'll give you an example, Lakeville. But we mentioned that last time we were at a meeting. Lakeville was the same thing, 4-lane roads, but it was, that was a major state highway that went through. But there was all sidewalks and pretty much 6-foot sidewalks and 4 14-foot lanes. Parallel parking was pretty much off the curb. They drove up on the curb. We kind of went through a potential road diet through that, and I think it will eventually be implemented. But we wanted this wider sidewalks and things like that, so it did encourage downtown walking. Because one of the things that we see right now is that perception. that perception of narrow sidewalks, wide drive lanes, things like that, it just is uncomfortable to be in. So if you can create a downtown streetscape that has more focus towards pedestrian, the wider sidewalks, the trees, the lights, things like that in there, you're gonna be encouraging more interaction and social engagement into your downtown area.
And this goes back to your Friday night stuff that we talked about last time as well. You know, you have the space for it now with wider sidewalks, people are more likely to come down there. You know, you've got the use of the park because it's all connected, sidewalks, green space, parking, it's traffic calming. So people can get out of their car, not just go to one business, but they can walk around and from business to business.
So I guess I would just open it up to everybody, is that should we look at a plan that is, you know, like geared to pedestrian kind of oriented design? Or just kind of make it as much parking as we possibly can. Keep the roadways. Right.
Yeah, no place to park there, and park down the road and walk to the lot.
Right.
So one of the things that, and I'm new to this,
Mhm.
this is that we're kind of entering in, so I
Yeah.
appreciate all this conversation. It's really neat. I lived in the Bristol area and worked here forever, but I've never really participated a lot. And now I'm retired, so well, you know, my wife said, hey, why don't we do something? What I'm kind of looking for is the vision. I think that's what we're referring to is, okay, downtown here, and of course, we're also looking at the to the railroad tracks on 15 South, because that's the property we purchased now. And what is the vision of what you want? Do you want lots of parking? Do you want lots of people walking around downtown? Do you want people to feel like a park atmosphere, but they have businesses, they come, they feel comfortable, and come hang out? Or do you want them to be able to pull up, walk in the store and leave? You know, it's just that whole vision, mission type of thing that once you have that, and you say, okay, then out of that, here's the first priority of what we want to accomplish, is second and third, and see how much that you can really capture in everything you're wanting to do.
I think of the word character for downtown. Do you want, like he's saying, parking, or do you want something that's more lively and user friendly and that people can get out and socialize? So what is that character you want for the downtown?
So you always need parking, but do you focus on, you said, okay, you have a lot of elder people, so you might have to have something that's closer for that, but I don't know if that's 1% of the people that we're going to have coming down here, or 5%, or what percentage, you know? And so it's, do you want to focus, okay, how can we get within the first block off the main street and the parking that's required for people to come up and then visit and be on the main street? So there's different, and I've been around, and like, this is beautiful parking here, but it's dedicated for this building and not for pedestrians to come and visit the downtown. Well, I don't know whether are the areas that might be changed to do so. I know Harding's is back here. That's a pretty good, it seems like a long way. It's one block. So I don't know, but it's the vision first on the whole main street.
And by the way, this is not the first time we've heard the first topic is parking. Most every design, well, all designs that we do for downtown streetscapes or revitalization plans, the first thing that comes up is parking. Parking, access, visibility to businesses. And we want to hear everybody's comments so we can accommodate that in the plan. But it's kind of that careful balance, right? You have your pedestrian kind of orientation design, if that's what everybody wants, combined with the parking, access, vehicular, you know, because you don't want to lose business. You don't want to lose business of people not wanting to walk to your operation, your business itself. So there's careful balance. Bringing in character. What do you want downtown Bristol to be? What is the theme? We bring a theme into it. What are the textures of the pavements? This is what we talked about at the first meeting. Is it all comes down to the details. Like you see what Goshen, the city of Goshen, they have fantastic downtown. But it's the textures that you see, kind of unique benches, the trees, the plantings, and what makes that interesting to be there. What gives people the desire to go to Goshen?
That's the character that it's building, all those textures, all those patterns, all those plantings, that's the character, and that's, I think, what we're trying to achieve. Because once State Road 15's out of here, you're not gonna have as much traffic. Yes, you'll have your normal users, but will they want to stay down here too? So trying to build that character and that atmosphere for what this streetscape could become.
We have a
I
mixture of
understand.
businesses, I'm sorry, we have a mixture of businesses, some of them are just service businesses where people are in and out.
Yep.
We need quick access.
Right.
And then I understand the food service and other services, shopping, where you encourage them to hang out, so it has to accommodate everybody,
Yes.
unfortunately.
I just have, I'm probably out of line here, but I'm looking at this, okay? You have trees down where they're asking for parking. Like in front of the Redbird and all of that. If you eliminate a couple of those and put more seating there for their customers, down here on the other side of this building, you guys have, there's 5. Now, I'm assuming that those are umbrellas like seating areas, correct? Am I looking at this?
Where are you at?
We're in
trees.
town hall right here.
Right.
Next door, they look like to me umbrellas, not a tree. Are those seating areas?
Those are trees.
Those are trees.
Yep.
Perfect, never mind then.
Yeah, everything that we have on circle
I'm like
is a
seating
tree of
areas.
some sort. Now,
Perfect.
now, one of the things
Seating
between
areas.
Division and Charles Street is that we do have to consider the tapers, the right-hand turn lane tapers, and that could possibly, I mean, if we're looking at a reduction of vehicular, the traffic that runs on the street, we could potentially look at the tapers and see what the loading would actually need to be.
Okay, next, Pam.
Well, see, where you've got where you reduce the parking places in front of, like, from the Redbird down to where Lauren's at down there. I need those parking places, and granted, this is only a one time a year thing.
Mhm.
I have an event where I have buses come in sometimes.
Sure.
And that's where they park.
Okay.
Is there. And like Rob said, I have a lot of the ladies that come into my shop are elderly ladies. They can't, walk a great distance. So like I said, I need that area just, so I have room because I can't be in
Right.
this event if I don't have the
Well,
capacity for the
These are some of the
buses.
things that we need to learn. I mean, we've got the 2 residences there at the end too.
Right,
So we're trying to accommodate them and not bring the downtown completely in front of theirs. Yet we also have the turn lanes that we're accounting for, and that's what Chris is talking about. Where once we get traffic counts and ideas of trips, we can figure out what those areas need to be, how long they need to be. for
Okay,
cars and
once-
stuff.
once that the city finally gets to, do all this, in between my building and Lauren's building, would she be able to put a driveway there to put parking for her building there?
Does she have a driveway out there right now?
No, she's got one over on the other side in between Mike and her,
Right. There's a
that she
driveway
can
out
put
there.
maybe a couple cars, but she's got residents upstairs. And see, I had to fight with that because the kid that was upstairs was parking like 5 cars out there, taking up all the parking places. So, he's now parking across the street, but I can understand his frustration in the wintertime, having to, walk across the street in the wintertime because it's cold. But
Yes, you're next.
It's at my age, I forgot what I was gonna say.
We'll come back to you. Just raise your hand. when
So
you're
real
ready.
quick on the screen,
I
is
apologize.
this the location you're talking about?
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, that whole section there, section A there, I'm
Yep.
all flustered too with that. I don't like that at all.
Okay.
I mean, the turn lanes and stuff like that, yeah, I can see that to a certain extent, but I'm also seeing a bottleneck developing there.
Mhm.
If we do decide to go with the roundabout, we're not gonna need those 3 lanes there. At least I don't believe we should. I think we should just have 1 lane there, and then, you either go right, you go around the roundabout and make your left-hand turn or whatever. I mean, to me, I don't like that area at all. I mean, I don't know what else could be done there, but like I said, but that's the center, that's the heart of our downtown.
yeah.
It's gonna lead us down to 15, and all it looks like it looks like, a truck stop out there. I mean, it's just turn lanes and stuff like that. I mean, it isn't very inviting, let's put it that way.
Yeah, and we can look at the reconfiguration of this. Maybe that straight through lane is a straight through and a right turn. Because we're pretty close to what's already out there.
We're close, but we have dieted it like I said, that with bringing those radius in, we diet it, but we can possibly diet it more. So we were trying to maintain somewhat of the same traffic pattern.
Yeah.
But,
And the other thing is if we bring this driveway in,
yep,
we'll probably get one, maybe two more. If we eliminate this crosswalk right here, we probably get two more spots in there. I mean, these spots are pretty close to what's painted out there right now. We just tried to figure out how to get a crosswalk at this intersection. So.
And that's, be mindful of, I know from being downtown, a lot of people, that's the crosswalk I use when I go to your place for breakfast. That's the crosswalk that I use if I need to get across the street. I typically am using that area right there, and there's no crosswalk there now, so. And if I'm here at the town hall, even this is hard to negotiate right now, and that should be a crosswalk right there.
well, that was one thing we did kind of focus on was with town hall right here, basically in the center of the 4 blocks. How do we get that central crosswalks? We've got all 4 crosswalks right in front of town hall at Apollo Street. So that could also become your central downtown. I know that Division Street in Vistula is kind of what everybody's thinking, but could that shift 2 blocks to Apollo Street? Like I said, with the gateways kind of at each end, your entry nodes into the downtown. So you can kind of shift that a little bit or change the idea or the character of it, how we do some stuff.
Rob, I have a question. We have a concept here for right now for 120, which is Vistula.
Yep.
Will you be presenting at our next meeting the concept for Division Street from the intersection to the tracks? Is that a possibility? Because that's,
We can take a look at that.
that is actually what
Mhm.
the whole purpose of this was. This is all going to be transitioned to the town. So
Right.
it's important that what we're looking at here for the concept, we want to see something for Division
Okay.
Street.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll take a look at division.
For the,
Yeah.
for the crosswalk,
Mhm.
is that a thought for y'all? Are you thinking about that crosswalk, or not crosswalk, but roundy round down here on Division? And then on the next page, there's like dots all the way around.
Yeah,
That
so
would be where the cars
I was just
go?
gonna say, if you flip to page 2, we started to look at the roundabout at that intersection. And it's not that it cannot be done. The roundabouts typically need about a 60-foot radius, so 120 feet across on the interior island, central island. And then there's a 12-foot lane going around that. So that's kind of what that is denoting right there. And that fits basically within the right of way right now. If you see the black lines, that's the right of way lines. So it could be done. Obviously, that's eaten into those corners of the one on the southwest as well as the home. I mean, because the curb right now, which again, you can't see on that, but it's probably right between, right down the middle of that sidewalk.
Yes, sir.
So.
And keep in mind that the outside radius is the curb.
Yeah.
It doesn't include any tree lawn, sidewalks and stuff that you'd want to see around there for pedestrians. So just looking at that, the reason why we didn't really draw it up, we just wanted to kind of show just the general location, is that most likely, well, the park would be affected. The resident up there in
The
the corner.
resident's driveway up there would definitely be affected.
Yeah,
And then obviously you'd have that curb line almost right at the corner of that building. The aerial shows the overhang of that, but that corner of the building is basically on that corner of the right of way. So, and that's why we hadn't explored it yet, but we wanted to get input. We wanted to show what that impact of a roundabout would be if we put one in that intersection.
that white building is our teen center.
So,
And
Yeah, and if it's
that
that-
belongs to the Methodist Church, I think.
And if it's that close to that building, I can see somebody.
And how did?
Oh, right, right, and that's-
Pedestrian cross on one of those.
Well, there's a whiteboard. On one.
I was gonna say,
So basically the roundabout that would be here, so there's two different types of roundabouts.
Yes, sir.
There's one you see on a county road where you're kind of driving up and then it swings left to swing right.
Yeah,
That's called an offset roundabout. And that's vehicular oriented kind of roundabout traffic pattern. It slows cars down before you get to the intersection and come back around. The other type is a radial roundabout. And radial roundabouts typically we see in a downtown area where it's pedestrian oriented. So if you can imagine the two legs coming in from, well, all four legs coming in. So after the circle and all the tapers, you have your crosswalk on the outside of that.
I got you.
So you're not close to the roundabout, you're actually kind of set back a little bit. But that kind of gets your vehicles to look straight ahead, so you can see left and right where pedestrians are, rather than kind of swinging this way and swinging that way, and then pretty soon you're surprised by people crossing.
So with this layout, I mean, on the 12-inch, where the 12-foot lane is, that curve that hits the corner of that building,
Yes, sir.
you wouldn't have a sidewalk on the outside of that. So there wouldn't be pedestrian access because of that building location.
Yeah, if you did a roundabout here, that your lanes would probably come up like this. And another lane would, or this curve would be like that, and you'd have your median middle.
Yep.
Your crossing would be right there. But that's on one side. Then you have to think about this side, and if we're concerned about parking and access to your building and all that stuff, you kind of tend to want, I would tend to have one, either have a lighted intersection or a stop sign, stop intersection. So you get people to slow down instead of just gunning it through the roundabout and coming around, especially when you have businesses all over around here.
Yeah.
I think something to remember too is, again, we're out to 2024, 2025 before we're gonna see something like this happen.
Yeah.
And in that interim, town's already purchased the corner of Elkhart Street in St. Charles. They tore that old house down. There's a new garden there right now. They also own the property where the old central office is, so eventually.
You and everything beside Grandma's house?
Yes, and
Earl's
then
house.
John Starr has the next building that's
Yes, he
behind
does.
Ross's building, so at some point, maybe John Starr's property will be for sale, and the town could look at that, then you have this ability to have a nice sizable parking lot right adjacent to the main street. So let's keep in mind, when we're talking about parking, if you want to maximize parking, there's ways. The town also purchased, I think they're purchasing, correct me if I'm wrong, the little piece of land behind Memorial Park that's just adjacent to the bank. So that makes Memorial Park bigger. I don't know what their plans are for that, but there could be some parking spaces. When I was on the council, they talked about buying that and just adding some parking spaces.
Was it 24, 25? That sounds good.
Maybe we can get a frontier building too at the same time. And they can have parking. Great.
You never know what will happen in 4 years.
No chance of the town securing Lawrence property, is there?
Pardon?
Any chance of the town procuring Lawrence property?
Well, I'm not selling.
Well, have you ever offered on it? Never really.
The town had an opportunity to buy that old general store before I was on the council. And they opted not to do it. They could have got it at a pretty good price too. But they opted not to do it. The council at that time just wasn't in the market to buy real estate.
Yeah.
So,
For listening to us, thank you.
yeah, so what I was drawing up here is just an idea that if you emphasize the three main intersections, you have the two on the one on the east and the west, and then the one in the middle. That could be your identifier intersections. You have the secondary streets, which is Charles, and then this one, Washington. It's kind of like your secondary intersections, because you don't have you don't have the ability, well, it'd be a little bit of an opportunity to get crosswalks going across. But you could still make it seem like a strong intersection. You just may not have the crosswalks that you would need at that location. So maybe you bookend the ends, you have a real focus on the center part. And then obviously your commercial is more over here. But we'll look at the parking, see how we can maximize amount of parking spots in there. We'll probably be able to add 3. If we do some modifications to this plan, we're not getting 15. Be lengthening the road somehow, but.
Just a comment on Ron, talking about Elkhart and Charles, and then potentially getting John Starr's building, which is right above the cursor there. That white building there. I mean, if that's where people are gonna be parking, potentially going to Division, I guess, or to our new main road. And I'm hearing parking problems over there in front of, the barber shop and lavender patch. What would it look like? People are gonna be coming up the right side of Charles, they're not gonna be coming up the left side of Charles. So you don't have a crosswalk anywhere for them. What would it look like to move that crosswalk to the other side of that intersection?
So we looked at that. And I guess the place to put that would be maybe between the two entrances of public parking lot. Kind of put that in there, but then you have vehicular conflicts. The potential. We looked at having this crosswalk come right up through here, but it goes right to that curb cut for that parking. Because this is a one-way in, well, it's one way in this way and then out in that direction. We could look at shifting it either, we can't go left, we can't go west, we could potentially go east, or maybe even go another little further east of that, but then it becomes kind of a mid-block crossing. And that becomes a dangerous situation as well.
You're not willing to put it at a slight angle to go from planner to planner there, from in front of the Redbird to,
There,
no, the other.
this direction?
Right.
We could take a look at that.
Potentially do that.
Good point, Ross.
Yeah.
That's why we're all here.
Yes.
The other thing we could do is potentially looking at Charles and seeing if we can narrow that lane a little bit. It does look like a pretty wide lane. And if we do that, we can have this intersection come out further and maybe line up better with that.
You narrow that up, though, you're losing your parking that everybody uses on that street.
Well, I guess what I would say is that if the lane is like 14 foot or 15 foot wide lane, we can bring that down a narrower lane. We're not necessarily reducing Charles Street in general, just at that intersection. Because what we want to do is kind of narrow that down so you're creating less of a crossing distance for pedestrians.
Basically, we would define that parking on Charles a little bit better, similar to how we're doing along Vistula with the parking islands. There'd just be one at the north end to help distinguish that this is a pedestrian area, your parking's a little further south, just to simplify that for the user, so.
So do you want to briefly go over the second option? Because I already know where this is going to go. Just wanted to throw it out there, so.
So the major difference, obviously, in the second option is adding a median. We wanted to look at that, just another traffic calming. Obviously, we had to look at where the left turns happen and where access needs to happen. It would cut off a few left turn opportunities throughout, but we tried to maintain some of the bigger ones. Obviously, left turn onto Charles, left turn north onto Apollo, and left turn south into the town hall. Left turn into I think what's the Beacon there. And that's about it. So we would still have left turn kind of into the parking, but it wouldn't have an actual left turn lane. So we just wanted to start to explore if a median was possible along this route. So I don't know if anybody's got comments or questions, what they think of that.
So anybody here that likes the median? All right. Okay.
You just think it's on your top.
I don't like a median going down through there at all.
Yeah.
Like she said, like, basically service. We don't have that many spots for new places to go in, new businesses.
Yep.
So let's go 5 years, some of us will be dead and out of business, but others will be buying those same spots. And it's not like we got Goshen, where we got nothing but wholesale or retail up and down our street.
And they also have Ocean College.
Yeah, but I didn't think of
Right.
that. Food and services is a big part. So like David said, you gotta make a decision. And I want my business.
Well, the median is not, the parking actually layout is the same along the edges here.
Yeah.
We're just kind of restricting traffic on where they can turn with in regards to left-hand turns. We're still giving some access to left-hand turns. They just have to kind of go around the block to get back across.
In my business, I'm pretty hands-on with everyone, and for the last couple of weeks, I've been basically interviewing customers and seeing how they feel about it. A median, and not one has been for it.
Okay.
You have to have a special or, yeah, it's kind of tough in the downtown area to break it. Especially when you have businesses and you have limited space for truck deliveries and everything else, because they'll want to go in.
We've been asking what I screw up.
Rob, I like what you had, your comment there. So what I would like is the rest of you business owners, when you have patrons in, ask them that very question, what their thoughts are on median.
I asked, everybody what they thought about Jackson Street, and not one of them liked it with that media there, so.
And mine all said, it's bad, it's hard enough. It's hard enough.
Right.
That's all they said.
Yeah, one of the things,
So they gotta come in between 6:30 and 8 AM at our place.
Yep.
And then they gotta come back from 12 until 4.
Hmm.
So there's it's a drop off and come back. That's all it is.
There's not a section on Jackson Street in that center median that's not already scuffed up with tires. We haven't even got to snow season yet. We haven't had a bad snow here for a couple of years. That's gonna be, if we get one of our big snows we've had, like we've had a few years,
Mhm.
probably most of that median is gonna be beat up by the snowplow so bad. We'll have to rebuild.
Leave areas for snowplows to come down through because we're lost without them.
And that's been the challenge for Main Street in this town,
Mhm.
is snow removal is a challenge in itself. If you have a median in there, it just adds to the challenge. It'd be very frustrating for a street department.
Understandable.
yeah, snow removal is another one that's, if it's not, I need as much parking as I possibly can, it's, if you do a parking lot, what's the best way to plow the snow? And so there's careful balance between knowing how a snowplow driver drives and what's the easiest for them versus the aesthetics. Because if anything, it would just be a sea asphalt and, nothing in the middle, no lights, nothing, because they would have to go around it. But snow removal in the downtown area is extremely important, and figuring out what's your means and methods for removing it.
When it comes to Elkhart, they have a big budget, they have a huge street department, they have front end loaders, everything, where when you get to small town America like us,
Right.
you're limited on your resources and your equipment, so that's something that I think we all have in consideration.
Yeah, like for City of Elkhart, when we did Jackson Boulevard, there was a big discussion regarding how we're gonna maintain this. And so there had to be careful discussions regarding, do you keep it public, do you do it private? Because buildings and grounds or any municipality, they're already stretched with staff members and your budget. So do you design to the lowest common denominator? Or is there a way that's, how creative can you get with how you maintain or what it looks like?
One of the things we did as a business, we have our own like trucks to push around. If it gets to a certain level, we have a program with Niblock. They then get the heavy, they'll come in and remove heavy stuff. So it's not a constant cost all winter long. When we have a big snow, they know that they're on board to help remove those things.
We used them one time on Main Street, I think it was 2016, we had a lot of snow pile up.
So again, that's part of
They
what we
came
use.
in with a huge front end loader and they had it cleaned up in less than 4 hours.
Yeah.
Where we would have taken our street department, I've worked with it before, we started at midnight, we finished at
Right.
8 in the morning, just to do the 4 blocks here on Main Street.
I'll remove this one.
So we don't want in between.
So the aesthetics and beautification is gonna be on the outside of the street, the sidewalk side, in the middle, and doing that so that when you, I have to be looking down the road, from this seat, and to envision what that looks like from that perspective. This is harder. I don't know if there's a way you can put together drawings and that we're looking down the street. Even.
Yeah, we can put together some perspectives, just kind of showing what it might look like. That's one reason why we wanted to do cross section, just so you can see what that looks like, the travel lanes. Obviously, there's nothing really going on between curb to curb, except for a couple of bump outs and some landscaping in there, just to define those drive lanes. But I think what you're gonna find is it's all the details. Because we were potentially looking at another drawing where we do parallel parking, but that would completely wipe out
Then you lose.
any of
all
your parking and
Yeah.
then we wouldn't get out of here alive, so.
Cut your parking down to like.
You're safe, you're safe.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that's hard to imagine is how much less traffic will be.
Right.
I mean, I'm watching traffic go up down the
Yeah.
street and going, oh, okay, but, so it's, how do you then say, stop, it's 25 miles an hour and you can't go down 120 anymore?
Mhm.
And, so I don't know, it's a challenge.
It's gonna
be
change.
120 and
Right.
15. You get
Dawn,
Okay, so based on what we have right now, what I'm hearing is the Opera House is our like main, like if we have a lot of people coming to park, the Opera House is our main draw. So how in the future are we going to pull off adding or participating in that draw? So what I'm envisioning, not like a Goshen or a Elkhart, but we're gonna want to draw people in. So if the Opera House is the focus, then yes, I completely agree with, we need a turn lane in the middle and not the beautification down the middle. And did I hear that Bristol bought the community garden?
When that property belongs to the town, there was a house there, and they also, the little cinder block building, that lot belongs to the town too.
And how far is the community garden? Is just like right over here, right? It's one block
Yes.
off the Opera House, so that
One
would
block.
make, that feels, right, just in our conversation, that feels like a good fix for the Opera House. But like envisioning further down the road, if we have more businesses that need deliveries, we're gonna have that middle lane so they can
Yep.
support that. I don't know if I'm like talking over.
But you make
No, and the center turn lanes.
Because the restaurant has a huge
Yep.
delivery.
Mhm.
And they need it.
And we don't have that many right now.
Right.
So if we're already having that problem, I think taking away that middle turn lane would be, and plus it just would, having a middle turn lane would make it so much safer, so people would stop passing on the right. That just makes you nuts. Anyway, sorry. But as we beautify, even the sidewalks and everything, more businesses as we continue are gonna come. And if they wanna serve food, yeah, we gotta have that access. That's my
Yeah.
I think those are good points, and I'll just say another thing, is that if you're thinking about the future, right now, everybody sees what this road looks like, and you have your businesses, and you have your residential, and you have what it is, and then how do you beautify that? But the next step would be, or encouragement is this the right land use type? Because it's mixed use, right? You have commercial right next to residential, or next to office space, all that stuff. So it's a mixed bag of that. If you want to define what your downtown is, do you say, okay, in the future, if there's properties that come up for sale, we want to purchase those and then convert those to commercial, mixed use, resident retail on the first floor, residential on the second floor. Do you want to look at that and kind of really emphasize and reinforce your downtown area to be more commercial or business oriented? Or is there kind of a mixed use with that retail residential?
I will get, I think I can get for you the 2030 vision that we did with MACOG.
Yep.
That is available. It's a 66-page outline of where the town's going to be in the next 10 years. That might be helpful in the next meeting conversation. We're getting close to the end, so anybody, 5 minutes, if you got any questions? I think we've covered a lot of things here today.
Hi there. I just wanted to, as a newer business owner downtown, we have a sister location in Bixter that recently went through revitalization downtown. And as a business owner with what we experience up there, I would just hope that the town would consider a portion of the proceeds of the funds that are being used for the project be set aside to support those businesses that are going to see a decrease in business while the revitalization is in progress. Vicksburg lost 4 businesses in their downtown during the revitalization.
According to that, what is the shutdown for that? Is it half the street, part of the street?
There's a whole bunch of different ways to do this. One is you can close down one block at a time, or you close down the north side and work on the south side, or, yeah, keep one side open or
One lane
another.
open?
Some communities just pull Band-Aid right off and just do it all at once. But in a community like this, you can't necessarily afford that, so.
Yeah, the drive-through lane and ATM lane that people will need to exit out of that. There's no other way for them to leave.
Yeah, as we mentioned in the last meeting, when we work on plans for phasing, we work with every business owner to see how you operate, if there's access in the front or the back of your building. If it's strictly in the front, then we take that in consideration when construction documents are all put together to figure out the best plan for making sure your business is viable and that there's very little effect on.
Minimal effect, because there will be some effect, but we try to minimize it as much as possible.
I think what you gotta remember too, it happened on Main Street in Elkhart. They had to tear up both lanes of traffic because all their utilities are under the street, under both lanes. We're gonna have the same situation here. I couldn't even tell you where the water main or the sewer main are here, but everyone's mandated to put in separate stormwater drains now. So you're talking 3 major infrastructure items that have to go into this new Main Street. This infrastructure is here. Can't even tell how old it is. Bill Weidrich might be able to tell you. But it should, at the time of this happens, I agree with Mike is talked about, our town manager, Mike Yoder, that it's probably going to be time to put new water main, sewer main, and take care of that stuff. Do it while you've got it tore up and be done with. Chipshawana did it, and they did theirs in 1 block increments. That's how they.
Downtown Elkhart did theirs like that.
And so those businesses in that 1 block, they still had to keep access to those businesses. Of course, if it's a pain in the butt to get in there, then you've got customers that say, you know what, it's not worth it. I'll see you in 6 months.
And our delivery trucks can't get in either.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
So next month, can we look, we're gonna see you in a month from now, so you'll take from what we've discussed today, and also let's look at Division Street down the tracks. I think the challenges there will be not as compounded as the challenges that are.
True. And so like I said, next time we'll have 1 plan that we'll refine based on comments, no medians. Try to add the extra spots in front of the businesses. And then we'll also have options for materials and furnishings and stuff like that to make sure we're going in the right direction. You can say like that or that. So we'll have that for next meeting.
What is the next meeting?
Next meeting is
December 12th or something.
December 13th, 8 a.m. right here. Dave and Don, would you like to take just maybe 120 seconds? And because you have some important people in this room that we'd all, I'm aware of what you're doing, and could you just give us a little info?
So I'm Dawn Weed. I'm much taller skinny than I am sitting down. So and my husband David. We're opening a coffee shop where Jack's. I suddenly went seafood. I don't know why. Crab Shack. I think it's because I'm not fully caffeinated, but it's okay. So, which I'll be able to solve no problems in. So we are taking that building down, and our vision is coffee. So it's going to be called the Beats Local Buzz. So everybody loves it.
You guys are the local.
And everybody's already buzzing.
Just coffee, huh?
Just coffee, I know, right? Part
Lots of caffeine.
Business in the front, party in the back. I'm just kidding. No. But we just also started raising bees, so that is also kind of
The buzz.
the buzz. So Weeds Local Buzz Coffee Shop, just local goods, trying to support the local community, bringing people together. And yeah, so we're turning the corner on 15 just to try and bring some more sense of community to this small town.
Revitalization.
Yeah, so I'd like to have a big enough space. Big enough space, so we can, if we need a meeting space, maybe homeschoolers. We would like to also take part of that property and turn it into Bristol's farmers market. So we could have a dedicated space, so we can get together at least maybe once a week and share things that we're doing or selling. So that will also be a draw to people from out of our little hood.
Were you able to get the parking lot next to it that the church owns or not?
We are working on that currently. We've been distracted with other things, like a lack of structure because we're now retired. But we need to actually touch base with the church and see if there isn't something, some agreement we can reach. Right now, they would like us to just lease the property, but yeah, people are gonna use it anyway. So if they are more comfortable with that aspect versus us just using the whole space, people are gonna use it anyway. So, yeah, we're still working on that. So we would like to, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm not trying to be all excited here.
Just don't put any sidewalks in because it's coming.
Well, I was looking at when they removed the dead trees.
Yes.
They broke the sidewalk. I was like, hope we're getting new sidewalks. I'm sure that we were, but yeah.
That's down the road a little ways. but-
Yeah, exactly. So, and I saw some really great ideas about movie nights. We would like to, like, again, family structured, events, just to
We're looking forward to the
get a big movie screen, have a movie night with families.
golf cart community, right?
Yes, it
So
is.
once you get all worked out, have a crosswalk in that area and a golf cart or one side of the street together, come over and have a cup of coffee in the morning or noon or at night or, this type of thing. And the whole thought is to not compete with whatever's here now, but to add to what there's to offer in the community and just get us buzzing. Conversation.
If we start,
later than 2.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I'm afraid so. Once it gets caffeinated, then.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I thank all of you for showing up this morning. I'm looking forward to seeing you in about a month. A lot to think about. And again, I would remind you, if you're out and about and you see some cool element in the town, take a picture of it. And either get it to, you can email it to me, or you can email it to Mike Yoder or to town hall here, because we're interested in what's out there, and we're only as good as our information. So the more we have, and again, we're out in front of this thing, we're 4 years out in front of what's about to happen, and I think we're doing the right thing. I just congratulate Ken for his willingness to step up, provide us these engineers. And they're not charging the town anything for this, so this is a great opportunity for us to collaborate and get out in front of this and get a design put together. And then we'll have a public input meeting after January 10th. We will schedule at least 1, maybe 2 public input meetings, because we will have a final scale drawing, and then we'll get the input, we'll get the opinion of the town itself, its residents. So again, thank you all for coming this morning. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
65 minutes, we're out of here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was gonna do it. I think the meeting
Thanks again, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good job, though. I know you can do It'll be interesting to see how we. But it's, parking's always a big issue. And it's for them to,
Like I say, right now, St. Charles. Intersection right there. Now that, crosswalk. The opposite side. I think you put the essence of
Well, I wanted to look at that. Yeah, it just was like, look at the geometry of it. Man,
It's tight.
it's very.
You'd be pulling out all four lanes.
Yeah, I know when I mentioned it, like I said, it's not around, it's around the stretch.
putting it out there to see, just see what the temperature.
They
is.
just, they love from time. So there are, that's what I'm.
So I think
They're
of
trying to.
what probably should be a focal.
Haley's right across from
We
Jack's.
want to
Oh,
have-
It's got a little-
Yes, yes.
So, this is where we can do
Yes,
something
yes.
brand
We can do learning, but everything.
And I think that's where we can do like the intersection.
Right.
And they
End
want
up
to.
taking it off and have your whole lot of space.
Is there an option that goes?
That'd be great. I'm sure that's the connection.
Even our-
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The city
So-
itself has 101 districts.
I got
Most
excited.
districts have archway. They keep it on their-
Yeah.
Those supervisors, they-
Think she's done with Jack, but.
if this is developing, someone's gonna.
I've got speedy stuff, I've got stained glass speeds, I've got all this stuff. And there was a man I was doing, I went to, and I said, yeah, you know, I was thinking about, you know, selling the stuff I've got and giving you guys money to go eat dinner. Well, nobody's done that.
Well, I don't, that's why I'm here.
Well,
Because I was a teacher,
together.
I was a
You guys
teacher,
probably
and then,
I can see that. I think that's
This
fantastic.
is the gate.
Well, and-
That's not-
I'm proud of that.
These are-
That's a lot of work.
This leads down
It's like,
to
I'm trying to
what
check
comes
my
down
box
and have a
number.
clock there.
Wow,
Wow, that's the big way to get into town. You don't drive under these. You come down. We used to go get huge.
That's what I was looking at for something.
Yeah.
We put down here, we put down here to signify, hey, this is real.
He's really
This is
slow.
downtown. And
She's
I-
cheering you on.
Everyone that's here.
I sure will.
So she's looking at you like, it's not gonna be that long.
We got the building.
Realistically, I hope not, but
It takes a little bit.
it's like now, it's super hot. Everything's so hot. I understand that.
I wanna make sure.
I paid 3,000 times the cost.
Yeah.
Because-
You gotta be interested in
You guys have a great day.
Hey, you too.
Right now-
Yeah, I think he's on vacation.
Did you see him much anymore? He's supposed to be retired, but sort of.
Hey, that retired.
Out of the trees.
He's almost the one where it's 4 days a week.
So he.
Yeah.
Most Fridays is off.
Had
Okay.
whatever nursery stuff. I'm like, I got all of it. My place is
We don't know.
There's that whole section of mile stuff, I got lots of mile stuff.
So-
Okay.
Let it cure, you could also use some wall planking inside.
Okay.
Down to like a
All right, well,
Those
you
animals.
bring a couple ideas to the next meeting, and we can start working those in.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got one. Come on, take, come on, hang on to us.
Oh, yeah, sometimes they make a little, this is by trade, being salt harbor board. So it's all,
You wanna get out of town, sit down, leave my stuff where they.
he didn't come out with that owner's manual, but he has been smelling wood. his entire life. It was like, oh, I didn't.
Yeah, that's awesome though. Yeah, we see it and it's like, yeah, that's awesome. Well.
You wanna keep any more of these?
Maybe one, I'll leave.
You can have all of
them. I'll leave them here for Mike.
Okay.
Set them right here by his lamp.
We don't need them. I've got the one I marked up and we've got plenty of copies if we need more, so.
Maybe David and Dawn will want to. I'm sure they're interested in seeing your, because they're gonna be on 15. They're doing all this.
Okay.
They're putting that in.
Okay.
Incorporate like some sort of shape.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Thank
guys.
you. We-
Appreciate
Good
it.
job.
Yeah, well, I'm very excited about it.
Me too. Now,
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
oh, yeah, we do. I think we have two. Is this the author?
Very,
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm sorry. Yeah.
And I have
Thank you.
split my downstairs into like one section of miles.
Miles lab.
I do have, I do have a storage shed.
Of course, I knew Jack way back from cruise.
Remember doing it?
I've talked to him a few times about bees.
Bees,
He
yes.
was,
Oh my God.
he had like 150 hives at one time.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah. He's all sailors around now. I don't know, he's in everything, so it's crazy.
Good.
But I'm very excited about your business. I told her, I said, I've been thinking for a coffee shop here for so long.
We'll get there. That'll be one of the main focuses, but other things.
Because
Yeah,
I.
it all
Hopefully it's
sounds
community.
exciting, yeah. I like that, a place to
I
meet.
love
It's hard to find
So
that, you know,
when you're
I've been
starting to
4-H
raise
leader,
these, so I gave up children at
always
school
find a
for
place to meet.
lots of girls and
Good for the
moms.
kids.
Yeah,
And,
we'll have other than
um,
coffee, we'll have other
yeah.
food drinks.
But anyway, I'm usually
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I live upstairs and then.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a school
I have a
teacher.
lift. I
Just
can come
retired.
down.
Okay.
Science.
Nice.
I
All
see.
lost
Very
to
close. I have.
That's the
I have
focus on the kids portion I see now.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to
David, always a pleasure to see you.
Sorry, a little late.
That's
And
okay.
eventually my
That's
son.
okay. You made it. You
Awesome.
made it.
Well, then maybe, I should talk my son into, you know what? I have, in the beach shack, we have gold solution, I found a solution for
Chad,
the.
I'm gonna take Rosemary home.
Oh, sorry, what?
I'm just gonna give Rosemary a lift home. I
display
saw her
cases.
scraping ice off her windshield and I told her, well, you said, you need a ride.
Again,
So we could, like,
So,
Yeah,
at this,
he goes
this is the
bringing
main,
me all his.
and we're talking about parking and,
okay.
is it,
And then eventually.
anybody ever thought about like
I
this
gave
being
him
one way this way? We don't have another street here anymore. Here's the two streets.
Yeah, they
Eliminated all that.
When we built the town hall, closed this part of Apollo and.
Is there any way that we could incorporate?
I would love that. Love it.
Oh, yeah, for the walking part, sure.
It looks like a crosswalks.
Yes,
So
yes,
coming
yes.
back from here, from the neighborhoods to get out to.
Right.
Because so what is it, they own, what, you were talking about buying this and buying that.
Right here, town bought this property. That's the old, that's the old church. No, this is the central office for the telephone frontier. We bought
Is this the alley?
Yeah,
Okay.
the
Right.
subway's up here.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so the town bought this and tore the house down. This is the central office, the old one. It's still there. They store Christmas decorations in it right now, so they have this whole corner. Eventually, John Starr, I saw him just 2 weeks ago. and I was surprised that
Been lots of
Or
coming
first right
together.
now, well, he's well deep into his eighties now, so he's slowed down quite a bit.
And
At
yes,
some
he is
point,
again being
this property.
Nice.
The town is smart. They'll buy it.
Was that piercing? No.
He's,
Tattoos parlor?
no, he leases, right now, he's got, he was living here for quite a few years, and no longer lives there, but he rents out this little studio apartment, and he leases the rest of it to the Opera House. They store all their sets.
Oh.
And he's
So,
kind of a house flipper.
You know, the Opera House actually came to council
Perfect.
when
Yeah, good.
the
Good
general
thought.
store was
So
for
good to
sale.
see you.
Stolen.
And I still.
Walking through the town for $75,000.
I'm just.
Biggest mistake they ever made. And the Opera House, even Champion said, look, we would be willing to lease space out of that building. And we would be willing to do readings, you know, invite the public for readings. And,
Yeah.
that was-
Yes.
Missed
Well,
opportunity.
actually,
This is the Opera House here.
at the coffee shop, we
You
would
know,
like to
back.
have, classes.
So I'm just trying to, like this
Like you
road,
said,
maybe
like,
parking,
just
because they talk narrowing and changing it.
meetings
So
or
we
something,
just
like
shift the
everything
parking
is
from this
still
side
in
to
the
this side.
process of.
And use
I
that
used to rent them down.
change
So I have
in
tables,
dynamic.
I have chairs.
Well, they already have.
And I have.
If you-
I'll have this
They
one,
talked about
this
putting a
one,
crosswalk
these
here,
and that.
So take it out
I
and
didn't
pull
have
in, put
right
parking down the
of
side. So
way.
it's
Right now, what you
But I
have is
have
parallel
this
parking
space.
from the corner to John Starr's place. and
Well, if you have the writers who need coffee, there you go.
So
Yeah.
this, and
Or
this
vice
intersection is
versa.
wide.
Or bring them to
Doesn't get
the,
a lot of
yeah, and have
commercial
your
use, so their idea of
Either way.
taking this away and doing a diagonal
That's
and moving this crosswalk.
I would love it.
That's
I would
perfect.
love
So see, they come away from this meeting with a lot of good info. And then the other thing we're looking at is, you know, they just identified roundabout. They just told me, they said that's really tight.
I know
We know that that's not, we know that that's not gonna happen, so we're gonna have the regular intersection here for the diagonal exit.
And then you have
So
two hands.
let's, you know, because we thought is when you come into town, we have this beautiful focal point here. But this can still be a nice focal point. This is probably what's going to be a really, an opportunity to make a statement for the Main Street. And it's close enough to the Opera House and to the across town hall.
Oh, you are, okay.
This is probably.
Yes,
Over
I
here.
have the other.
The focal point being right here. You see?
Yeah. Yeah, this intersection right here is where we could do something really cool. That we just identified, give us our identity.
Well, the challenge of that is, of course, this is what's across the street, and that doesn't draw people to come down to the downtown to interact with one another. It's the
Yeah,
position.
yeah, because see, here's your intersection, right? This is the intersection.
Yeah.
Where you're gonna have a four-way crosswalk right at this intersection. It's right at the town hall. It's right adjacent to the Opera House. So,
Residents around the corner.
It's a tough thing. Yeah. Yeah, and that's Linda Powell on the corner. She's not gonna give up her property.
That's so fun, I love it. Oh my gosh, I know, I would love to see.
The challenges.
The challenges.
It's hard to want to make the focus right here.
The stories, the walls.
I would hope that the church would be agreeable.
What would they come back and said that, what do they call it? Corporate, not corporate. Central head of the churches or something, don't want to sell. Is that-
Oh my
They'll leave it
goodness,
as a
I'm
lease. I haven't gone back.
But that's good to put the feelers out there and just let things, even if it sits on the shelf.
Well, this is the center of the distance here.
Right.
Here. Okay, I don't know, we're talking about people, their actions and what they're gonna do and the growth of downtown, with their actions, it seems like it's in here
Well,
versus.
this is
down here.
all, the way I look at it, this is all stashed. Right, this is the growth, it's 2 block area right here. This is gonna be growth. This is where all our development, all of our future development is. We're just gonna put it in Main Street here, and we're gonna make a statement here, this is what I want to see get developed. And we also, I want to just hear about this.
Yeah, you do. Awesome, well, I will find you on Facebook.
Yes.
Next one.
Yeah, we can take that. Just like that bank across the street, our bank closed.
Yeah, the Chase Bank.
So there's
Sure is.
and that's always set up as a drive-through. I
it
mean,
was-
you can put coffee in those tubes. Come on, man. Mike, I didn't turn anything off, so you're hearing all kinds of stuff.
Oh, good, okay,
This room got warm.
okay.
Yes, it
Are you
did.
recording everything we're saying?
Yes.
Hello, everybody.
Well, thank you.
Right.
You are welcome.
Talk to Frank lately?
Yeah, went to the Notre Dame football game with for USC. Two of us went over to USC game.
Yeah.
Hung out for a while.
Oh, good.
Yeah.